Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a truly chilling case involving the dark side of teenage romance. Teenage love is often described as one of the most intense, uncontrollable, and unpredictable emotions. It can be incredibly powerful, sometimes leading to destructive outcomes. This period marks the first real taste of deep, passionate feelings, driven by hormonal shifts and evolving social interactions. Each person experiences this delicate emotion differently. With adolescence being a time of rebellion, self-discovery, and seeking validation, it's not uncommon for teens to engage in reckless behavior to capture their partner's attention and admiration. In the spring of 2017, the quiet town of Lorenville, Georgia, was rocked by a series of heinous crimes. These violent acts led to the tragic deaths of 2 people and placed 4 others in critical danger. An elderly couple was brutally tortured and murdered for money, while 2 students were gravely injured but managed to survive, thanks to swift intervention by law enforcement that stopped the violent spree. The young perpetrators, 17-year-old Cassandra Borga and 19-year-old Johnny Ryder, drew media comparisons to Romeo and Juliet, given their apparent desire to end their lives together. However, they fancied themselves more akin to Bonnie and Clyde, despite their lack of knowledge about the infamous criminal duo. The most disturbing element of this case was their choice to target their own families, revealing a twisted attempt to sever ties with their loved ones. Cassandra and Johnny first crossed paths in late January 2017 through mutual friends. At that time, Cassandra was just 17 and still in school, while Johnny, having recently turned 19, had already experienced marriage and divorce. Johnny wasn't quite ready for family life. His marriage had been a hasty decision prompted by his underage girlfriend's unexpected pregnancy. Unfortunately, the pregnancy ended in miscarriage, and their marriage unraveled within 6 months. When Johnny first encountered Cassandra, he was immediately struck by her. Despite her petite frame and striking appearance, she radiated a powerful, untamed energy. Cassandra was deeply involved in a range of activities from tango dancing and Korean martial arts to taekwondo. She had even competed in various tournaments. However, she eventually abandoned these pursuits, citing emotional struggles as the cause. In reality, her shift in focus was due to a preference for partying and unhealthy habits that clashed with her athletic commitments. Cassandra's magnetic presence and slender figure made her a focal point of attention, particularly among boys who were enamored with her. There's ongoing debate about whether her feelings for Johnny were genuine, or if she used him to further her own dark intentions. Regardless, Johnny was clearly infatuated, convinced he had found his true love and soulmate. Johnny lived with his mother and 2 sisters in his parents' home, while Cassandra resided with her grandparents, who adored their only granddaughter. From the outset of their relationship, the couple's passion was evident. They quickly introduced each other to their families to showcase the seriousness of their commitment. However, their families disapproved, which only fueled their resentment and led to dangerous outcomes. It's likely that, on their own, neither Johnny nor Cassandra would have committed such severe crimes, let alone resort to violence against their own family members. In this tragic case, a convergence of disturbing factors ultimately led to a horrific outcome. Johnny, who shared Cassandra's addiction to illegal substances, was easily influenced and manipulated. Cassandra, in turn, was the mastermind behind their monstrous plans, with Johnny willing to carry out her wishes without question. So who was Cassandra Borga? Born on January 19, 2000 in Peachtree Corners, Gwinnett County, Georgia, Cassandra was the only child of Amanda Sterling, who had her out of wedlock. Cassandra never knew her biological father and had no contact with him. Her mother, preoccupied with her own life, neglected to provide the necessary guidance and support, leading to Cassandra's behavioral and aggression problems from a young age. When Cassandra was 15, her mother married a man named Stephen, who began showing an inappropriate interest in his stepdaughter. Despite Cassandra's attempts to confide in her mother, Amanda dismissed her claims, attributing them to her daughter's history of lying and troublemaking. Feeling desperate, Cassandra reached out to her grandparents, Wendy and Randall, who were deeply concerned about her situation. They decided it was best for Cassandra to move in with them. In October 2015, she relocated to their spacious 2-story home in Lawrenceville. There, she had her own room, and was given ample support and affection from her grandparents, who hoped their care would help Cassandra improve. However, Cassandra took full advantage of their generosity, manipulating their kindness to further her own destructive path. Cassandra's behavior took a turn for the worse as she abandoned her sports activities, skipped school, associated with the wrong crowd, and frequently ran away from home. Her descent into criminal behavior included stealing from her relatives, using the money for alcohol and drugs. On one occasion, unable to get the funds she wanted, she violently attacked her grandmother, threatening her life. Between October 2015 and March 2017, the Borga family had to call the police over 30 times due to Cassandra's repeated disappearances, physical altercations, theft, and aggressive behavior, exacerbated by her substance abuse. Her actions became increasingly erratic and uncontrollable. Things deteriorated further when Cassandra began dating Johnny Ryder. She introduced Johnny to her grandparents, insisting that he move in with them, a request firmly opposed by Wendy and Randall. Similarly, when Johnny tried to bring Cassandra to his own family home, his mother and sisters rejected them and expelled the couple. Feeling cornered and rejected, Cassandra and Johnny decided that anyone obstructing their relationship had to be eliminated. Their plan was ruthless. They intended to deal with Cassandra's grandparents, steal their savings, eliminate Johnny's relatives to seize their funds, visit Cassandra's mother and stepfather to exact revenge, and then flee to Florida with the stolen money from 3 households. Cassandra knew exactly where her grandparents kept their money. A small safe was hidden in a closet on the 2nd floor of their home. Although she was aware of the safe's location, she didn't know the combination, as Wendy and Randall had started securing their cash after discovering that money was missing and suspecting Cassandra of theft. Wendy, 63, and Randall, who had recently turned 64, had been married for over 40 years. They had built their dream home and envisioned spending their golden years together. They had 2 adjacent bedrooms on the 2nd floor, each with its own bathroom. Despite struggling with their granddaughter's unruly behavior, they were reluctant to return her to her mother or send her to juvenile detention, believing instead that she could be rehabilitated and not wanting to ruin her future. On the night of April 2, 2017, while Wendy and Randall were already in bed, Johnny, accompanied by Cassandra, broke into their home. Armed with kitchen knives and baseball bats, the pair made their way up to the 2nd floor. Cassandra went into her grandmother's bedroom, standing silently by her bed, while Johnny attacked Randall with the bat. Initially disoriented and frightened, Randall didn't immediately grasp what was happening. He was unable to defend himself as Johnny ruthlessly continued to strike him, even jumping on the bed to deliver blows from above. Wendy, disturbed by the commotion, woke up to the sound of dull thuds and muffled screams. In the darkness, she saw a figure by her bed and realized it was Cassandra. As she tried to get up, Wendy was stabbed in the shoulder. Despite her efforts to defend herself, evidenced by deep cuts on her hands, she was overpowered. Cassandra dragged her grandmother into the next room, where Johnny was still assaulting Randall. The young couple then bound the elderly pair with tape and continued their brutal assault, demanding the combination to the safe. They threatened to kill them if they didn't comply. Johnny held a knife to Randall's throat, but despite the grave threat, Wendy and Randall held out hope that their granddaughter would not actually go through with killing them. However, just a minute later, Cassandra gave the command and her boyfriend began stabbing Randall in the stomach. Wendy cried out, begging them to stop, and in desperation she gave Cassandra the safe's code. Cassandra immediately ran to her grandmother's room, opened the safe, and with a triumphant shout waved a couple of thick envelopes filled with cash. She ran back to show her accomplice that they had succeeded and the safe was open. But the torture of the elderly couple didn't end there. Cassandra and her boyfriend continued to beat them, trying to get the passwords to their bank cards to take even more money. Wendy and Randall likely realized they wouldn't be left alive and started saying their goodbyes, confessing their love for each other. Cassandra later recounted this during her interrogation, and it seemed to amuse her greatly. After getting all the necessary information, the young monsters finished off Randall with a knife to the neck, right in front of his wife. Then, they dragged Wendy into the bathroom where they continued to deal with her. She was finished off with baseball bat blows to the head, inflicted by her own granddaughter. At one point, Cassandra complained to Johnny that Wendy wouldn't die and still had a pulse. Then Johnny slit the woman's throat to ensure there was no chance of survival. The party continued, with the young couple living in the house alongside the two decomposing bodies on the second floor. They spent the stolen money buying everything they wanted, including alcohol and various prohibited substances they could get their hands on. During interrogations, they confessed that they wanted to try everything, and now they could afford it. A few days later, Wendy's sister called the police requesting a welfare check on her relatives, who hadn't been in contact since April 1st. They hadn't been answering calls and only sent text messages, which was unusual due to Wendy's poor eyesight. The messages stated that everything was fine and asked not to worry, but this only increased the concern. Law enforcement sent a patrol officer to the given address to check if everything was all right, but no one answered the door. At first glance, nothing seemed suspicious. There were no signs of a break-in. The mail had been collected, and neighbors saw the couple's car leaving for downtown in the morning. The officer concluded that the elderly couple had gone out on errands, and, without a warrant to search the house, he left. Reporting that he had done his job, the officer noticed nothing strange. Meanwhile, the young perpetrators used the victim's car to go shopping, buying food and alcohol daily, and ordering restaurant delivery. They couldn't even finish all the food they bought, leaving the uneaten and spoiled items to rot in boxes scattered on the floor, tables, windowsills, and every surface in the house. When the cash started running out, they withdrew money from Wendy's bank card, but they couldn't find Randall's wallet with his cards. About a week after the crime against her grandparents, Cassandra and Johnny decided to throw a party at the house, inviting their friends. However, they faced a serious problem. The bodies on the second floor had significantly decomposed and were emitting a foul odor that was impossible to ignore. Johnny went to the garage and found 2 cans of construction sealant, deciding to seal the doors of the rooms where the remains were. But first, they needed to mask the smell. They bought several liters of chlorine bleach from a hardware store and poured it over the bodies. Then, Johnny carefully sealed every crack around the door leading to the bathroom and did the same with the bedroom door. The couple called their friends, telling them that Cassandra's grandparents had left town for a few days, leaving her with a lot of money, and she planned to throw a big party with alcohol and something more fun. However, the story seemed very suspicious to their friends. Most of them knew how many times Wendy and Randall had called the police because they couldn't handle their granddaughter. So, no one dared to attend this strange party. In the end, only a small group of troubled teenagers gathered at the house, including those who could get prohibited substances, and agreed to do so for a reward. Even in a state of intoxication, the guests complained about the terrible smell, which Cassandra blamed on a clogged sewer. The next day, the perpetrators decided it was time to leave the house, as staying there had become unbearable. However, they were running out of cash and had nearly exhausted the funds from the card, so they needed more money for their escape. The plan to get it had been brewing for a while and now needed to be executed, but for this, more of their relatives had to lose their lives. The couple broke into the Ryder family home, as Johnny had keys. They arrived in the morning when Johnny's mother and sisters were at work at the university. They managed to ransack the house and find some money and valuables to last them for a while. The perpetrators armed themselves with baseball bats and also bought bear spray, an aerosol similar to pepper spray but much larger and more powerful. This special aerosol, used to repel aggressive bears, contains strong tear and irritant substances, causing chemical burns to the skin and mucous membranes, provoking severe coughing and intense pain for humans. This weapon can be deadly. They knew approximately when each family member would return home. The plan was to attack and deprive them of life one by one and then escape with the loot. By Monday, no one would be looking for the mother and sisters, assuming they had gone away for the weekend, giving the perpetrators a couple of days' head start. Johnny's younger sister Melissa was the first to come home after her university classes. But unexpectedly, she arrived with her boyfriend, whom she had invited over to be alone while no one was home. This complicated matters, but the criminals decided to stick to the plan and add another victim to their blacklist. When Melissa and her boyfriend entered and saw the mess, they realized there had been intruders, likely burglars. Melissa immediately ran to the phone to call the police, but didn't get the chance. The room began to fill with an acrid orange smoke that made their eyes water, their throats burn, and their skin feel like it was on fire. Suddenly, two figures armed with bats appeared, their faces covered with scarves, and began to beat the students. However, the victims unexpectedly put up serious resistance, and a fight ensued. The attackers, not expecting the bear spray to be so powerful, began to choke themselves. In the midst of the struggle, the front door suddenly opened, and the homeowner, Johnny's mother, who had returned from work earlier than usual, appeared. She screamed and called 911 while the perpetrators managed to escape through the kitchen door. During the attack, Cassandra dropped the car keys they had come with, but Johnny, during the robbery, had grabbed spare keys to his mother's car, which they used to flee, abandoning the main evidence, a vehicle registered to the late Randall. The couple didn't expect Melissa to come home with her boyfriend, as attacking and ending the lives of two strong young people at once was no easy task. Although the criminals immediately decided to eliminate the additional witness, fortunately, they failed to complete their plan. They overestimated their abilities and clearly underestimated the potency of their chosen weapon. House of Horrors. Both victims of the attack survived but were hospitalized with varying degrees of injuries and chemical burns. Law enforcement officers who arrived at the scene were intrigued by the abandoned car in the backyard, which did not belong to the Ryder family. Checking the license plates, they discovered the car's lawful owner. It quickly became clear that the police had been called to the home of the car's owner earlier that week, but no one had answered the door. Officers immediately headed to Randall and Wendy's residence, and this time, after unsuccessful attempts to get a response, they forced the door open and entered. The stench of decay hit them immediately, clearly coming from upstairs. In one of the bedrooms there were bloodstains on the bed and floor, and the open closet revealed an empty safe. Getting into the other bedroom was impossible because the door had been sealed shut with construction adhesive, requiring time and effort to cut through. When the police finally entered, they were met with a horrifying sight. On the floor lay the decomposing body of an elderly man with his hands tied behind his back and signs of severe torture. The bathroom door was also sealed, taking more time to break through. Inside, the remains of the homeowner's wife were found. It was evident that she had been tortured and beaten before her throat was slit, which caused her death. The house was in complete disarray, with trash boxes and containers of spoiled takeout food everywhere, empty alcohol bottles, and the sink filled with dirty dishes. Police had visited the house dozens of times over the past year and a half, and knew that the deceased couple had a granddaughter who frequently ran away, behaved aggressively, and got into trouble. She became the prime suspect in this case, but where to find the minor accused of such a heinous crime? When the injured Ryder family members were informed about the events at the Borga house, they immediately pointed to Cassandra, stating that Johnny could be her accomplice because he was infatuated with her and might follow her lead. The young perpetrators and robbers were declared wanted, along with the car they escaped in. After fleeing the scene, the couple went to a store and bought 5 liters of milk to wash off the bear spray residue and relieve the painful burning. After some thought, Johnny remembered his best friend from high school, Jason, with whom he had been inseparable during their senior years, but had almost lost contact after graduation. The criminals decided to seek help and temporary refuge at Jason's home. Jason was very surprised when his former classmate appeared at his apartment with a girl. The pair looked frightening, but Johnny claimed they were in trouble and had nowhere else to turn. According to Johnny, he had a severe argument with his mother over his girlfriend, whom she disapproved of. Allegedly, his mother kicked him out and sprayed them with pepper spray, affecting both of them. The uninvited guests asked to take a shower and clean up. Jason and his mother were very kind-hearted and allowed the couple to use their bathroom, gave them clean clothes, fed them dinner, and even offered them to stay the night. The pair accepted the offer since they had nowhere else to go. In the morning, the apartment owner prepared breakfast and coffee for everyone. She chatted amicably with the guests, asking if there was any other way she could help them. Suddenly, the sound of police sirens grew louder outside. Police cars arrived right under the windows, and a minute later, officers addressed Johnny and Cassandra by name through a megaphone, urging them to surrender. Jason and his mother were shocked by this turn of events. Johnny, grabbing a large kitchen knife, thanked their hosts for their hospitality and ordered them to leave the apartment immediately. Terrified, the hosts rushed to the exit while the criminals barricaded themselves inside. They had no intention of surrendering and decided it was better to end their lives together. Failed Romeo and Juliet. The criminals knew they couldn't hide in someone else's apartment for long and that a SWAT team would burst in any minute. Together, they went to the bathroom, taking a knife with them, and inflicted several deep cuts on their wrists, hoping to bleed out quickly. Johnny took out his phone and, already losing consciousness, recorded a voice message for his mother, asking for forgiveness. He expressed regret for his actions, saying he loved his family very much and that he shouldn't have hurt them. He added that he was dying in the arms of his beloved girlfriend and that this was his final message. However, Cassandra didn't send any similar messages to anyone. When the police broke into the apartment and forced open the bathroom door, they found the young couple on the tiled floor, lying in each other's arms, surrounded by a large pool of blood. They were both unconscious, but still showed signs of life. They were given immediate medical attention and then transported to the hospital. Shocking confessions of the young criminals. As soon as the young couple regained consciousness, they immediately asked about each other. Johnny was the first to give a confession, claiming he regretted his actions. Meanwhile, his girlfriend tried to portray herself as a victim, blaming everything on her boyfriend. She claimed she had been suffering from depression for years, was very angry with herself, and didn't want to live anymore. However, while recounting the events, she accidentally admitted that she had long wished for her grandparents' deaths. During interrogations, Cassandra behaved childishly, complained about the unappetizing hospital food, made faces, and even flirted with the detectives. She only started talking after being brought fast food from a restaurant as she had requested. What the teenager revealed shocked even the most seasoned officers. When asked why she ended the lives of her grandparents, Cassandra calmly replied that they had lived long enough. She added that they interfered with her fun, made her go to school, and hid money that she needed. Cassandra showed no remorse for depriving the only people who cared for her of their lives, and was only upset that she couldn't find her grandfather's bank card. When told that he hid his wallet under his pillow because he feared she would steal it, she laughed and remarked, "Grandpa was always damn smart." The young criminals also admitted that they wanted to end the lives of the Ryder family out of revenge for not accepting Cassandra and trying to prevent Johnny from seeing her, thinking she was a bad influence. They also planned to rob the family, reasoning that dead people don't need money. Next, they planned to visit Cassandra's mother and stepfather to get back at them for his treating her. After all this, the couple intended to go to Florida to enjoy life by the ocean and spend the money. Trial and sentence. After the failed attempt to end their lives together, the lovers met again several months later in the courtroom. It seemed that there was no love or passion left between them, as they consistently blamed each other, argued, and even resorted to insults. In the end, both pleaded guilty to the crimes against the elderly couple, the attack on the students, and the robberies. The court found Cassandra Borga and Johnny Ryder guilty on all counts and sentenced each of them to 2 life sentences with the possibility of parole after 60 years. Johnny expressed genuine remorse and apologized to everyone he had hurt. while Cassandra stated that she had nothing to apologize for. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel. There are many shocking stories ahead of you.